Hey folks, welcome back to my channel Relationship Haven. My name is Gary and I hope you're having a fantastic day or evening. Wherever you are in today's story, Opie found out his wife had been cheating on him with her ex after Opie discovered she had been taking Uber rides to meet with him. Then gave her a surprise call when she was there and told her he knew what was going on. Now she's moved out and is broke as a joke. In today's second story, P found out that his wife is having an emotional effect after his dog showed him her Apple Watch that revealed shocking texts. Let's get into today's stories. A little backstory first. When I first met my soon-to-be ex-wife, she had mentioned her ex multiple times. The first date we ever went on had a moment where she got a call from him and he was demanding that she pay her half the phone bill or he cut her off. She always told me stories about how he treated her. He was a severe alcoholic who barely kept a job and would beat her regularly. One time he burnt her with the cigarettes, which left marks. Fast forward. We got married and I still remember how good it felt, holding her hand and putting that ring on her finger. I did everything for her. She couldn't drive. So I would always pick her up from work, and on the days I was off, I would take her to work as well. She often asked me to give her money for weed, which I did, as well as for cigarettes. On the day we got married, I took her off his phone plan and put her on mine. I paid for everything including gas, rent, Wi-Fi and the phone bill. I even drove her from Virginia to New York so that she could see her family. I was doing my best to get her to become a responsible person and get her back on track. She thought she had $2,000 in student loans. But later on we both found out that because she had put them off for so long, it turned into $22,000. I told her that when the time came, I would help her with that a few days before her birthday in December. I noticed she was trying to hide a texting app from me. She then texted me and asked me to take her to where she was diagnosed with the flu that night while she was in a drug-induced sleep. I took her phone and looked through it, then saw a text to her ex, things about how much she missed him and that they wanted to meet up again. I went into a rage and for the first time in our entire relationship, I raised my voice at her. The morning after, before I went to work, she promised that it didn't mean anything, then apologized for hiding it and swore she was done with him once and for all. I was stupid to believe that. But we reconciled and went on a few days later. I was still feeling bad for doubting her and drove her around to get things done before her birthday, such as paying for her nails and hair. I checked my bank app and noticed that on her account, she had 2 Uber charges as well as a charge at a 7-Eleven near her ex's place. I asked her what they were for and she immediately got defensive. She mentioned how they were for a friend of hers that she helped get home. I was again stupid, believe her, but a little more wary, and asked her to look me in the eyes and promised me that she hadn't gone over to his place. She swore that she didn't. I asked her later that day if she could show me her Uber history and she got even more defensive, accusing me of being paranoid just like her ex was. I then looked into it and discovered from her Uber history that she in fact did go over to his place. I confronted her with the knowledge I had of what she did but was being as calm as I could. She instead went into a fit of rage and demanded to know why I went into her history and that she wanted a divorce. We ended up not talking at all for a week or so. And eventually she swore to me that nothing happened when she went over to his place between then and last week. Everything was fine between us. Although I had noticed that she was friends with him on Facebook for a brief period. However, I remember that one day when I asked to look at her blocked list, when I had parked my car, she got out of the car, then went behind the car and then came back in. I can't believe that she thought I was stupid enough to fall for that. After that incident happened, I enabled parental controls on my phone account and added a tracker so that I could see where she was every day. She didn't know about it because she was always making comments about how she didn't like anyone tracking her location, just like her ex used to do. After I got off from a 24-hour shift between Friday and Saturday, I texted her asking what was up and went home. She wasn't responding to any of my texts. so I checked the tracker and noticed that she was at her ex's place. I immediately jumped out of my bed and frantically found my clothes to head over there and bait her into coming out. She said she went out the night previously with a friend and was staying over at her friend's place. I was leaning against a tree outside his apartment and then called her telling her she needs to come home now so I can spend the day with her to make up for working 24 hours on Valentine's Day. The first thing that happened was that I yelled, "Staying over at a friend's place." And she screamed knowing that she had been caught. She asked me for a ride home, swearing that nothing happened and that she just wanted to see him. I told her I wanted the keys to her apartment and her ring immediately. She had until Thursday to give me back her phone that I had paid for later on. She finally admitted that things did happen when she went to his place. She told me she cheated on me because she wasn't sexually attracted to me anymore and mentioned how he does things to her body that she can't even explain. She then had the nerve to make a comment about how she liked that I cared for her and held her hand all the time. Her ex also sent me a message on Facebook that said, "LOL, that was it. Our lives are pretty much almost entirely separate now. She never lived with me. So she's either staying with the ex or the place she was always at. I have the phone back and I'm working on removing myself from her bank account. I can track her spending still. And even though she got paid $600, she's already overdrawn the money. Mostly on Uber rides to go to work and probably on weed. I just don't know how to feel about this anymore. I was going to be the person to save her from herself. I did everything I could for her. I always tried to get her to be a better person and never raised my voice. She always told me I was a better person than her ex was. I don't have any feelings for her anymore. And if she ever asks to come back, I will definitely say no. All I want is that 3 a.m. call where she's drunk and begging me to let her come back after realizing she's messed up her life. You've got to get yourself together, man. After reading this, you come off to me as a very passive individual. You let your wife fully take advantage of you. She basically used you as an ATM machine and then had some fun with her ex while she was at it. I'm sorry for what happened to you. But to be honest with you, you gave her way too many chances, which was obviously going to backfire. I'm glad you finally came to your senses at the end, but you need to learn how to stand your ground much sooner and not allow someone to walk all over you like your wife did. I hope you are able to heal from the situation and continue to better yourself as a person. Now, let's get into today's second story. I recently wrote a post on our divorce about how my new dog had serendipitously given me some information about my wife's emotional affair. I had been suspecting that something was up for a while. And when she gaslighted me and suddenly threw me to the side, I felt something amongst the sea of confusion, pain, sadness and doubt was suspicion. I don't like to admit it, but it has always been my goal to reconcile with my wayward spouse, to give her space and respect and privacy. But today I broke that. I saw a message from a number I did not recognize and its preview was too hard to ignore. Now, for the story, we recently got a puppy. We, as in my immediate family, my wife and I, moved in with my parents as she suggested we could live there and save money for us. It was a good idea and very forward-thinking on her part. I really didn't want to move, but I did it because she was my teammate and I felt like I could overcome it. With her by my side, our family dog passed away shortly after the wayward spouse and I moved in. Fast forward to now and we finally got a puppy. No clue where a wayward spouse is. As she is mostly ignoring me, the puppy is honestly really annoying and her teething makes her so chewy. Yesterday I hit the gym late. I had recently seen my therapist and a lawyer for a consultation that day and it had me feeling anxious and depressed. When I returned in the late afternoon, I came home to see my wife's Apple Watch on the kitchen counter charging. My first thought was that she must be here, but she was not. So where did it come from? My grandmother came out with the dog and explained that the dog ran into my open bedroom and saw the watch. She carried it back to the living room where she chewed on it till my grandmother found her. The gummy sports strap-on and Apple Watch does look pretty sweet. If you're teething, she took the watch and charged it thinking it was my mother's. They have the same color and model watch. When I got home, the watch was alive. I was surprised as this thing had been missing for months and I didn't find it till she left me and I moved rooms. I threw it in a corner of the room on a pile of the wayward spouse's mail and clothes. The dumb pup came in and grabbed it as it was so easy to reach. As I walked back to my bedroom, the notifications came in. The first text I saw was from a number I didn't recognize. It said, "Stockpiling for you baby," between my wife going no contact after suggesting that she wanted to work on our marriage. My suspicions and what this message said, it was very hard to not look. I opened it up and started reading messages, and conversations were happening in real time. This wasn't her affair partner, but they talked about me. I saw her talk about me in ways that killed me. Her newfound online friends took her side and they all think I'm a controlling loser. The worst part is I suggested and recommended she hang with some new folks in this video game because I didn't want her to feel trapped with me. She's not super social. So I always try to get her to foster friendships when she talks about me to these people. She refers to me as her ex. This entire time, I have been silently standing for my marriage, always referring to her as my wife. I was gutted so much for a serious attempt at working on our marriage. After basically finding out that my wife sees me as her ex and not her reconciliation partner. I tried to sleep but couldn't. Waves of anxiety and pain washed over me in long successive crashes. I started to cry. And that's when the late-night text from him came in. How much worse can it get? So I read them. It showed a guy who obviously had feelings for her, delegating care and calling her pet names like baby or babe. I've seen them talk late into the night. She's been overprotective of her phone lately and our bedroom has been dead. So this made sense. I have no clue if things have gotten physical with them. But at this point it doesn't matter, they care about her and approach her in a way that it did. It looks just like how we looked when we first started. So much of what I thought I knew was lost. So much time wasted, 6+ years ups, downs, and as much love as I can muster and nothing to show for it. Those who are currently in it. How did you deal on the first day after a month of being too stupid to see the light? I feel like I have jumped back to square one day one. What were your first few days? Like, did you confront or did you wait? OP? What are you doing? Why are you trying to reconcile here with someone that obviously doesn't care about you? She is actively cheating on you, at least emotionally, and it is time for you to put an end to this once and for all. You deserve someone that loves you and respects you. I would look into hiring a lawyer so that this process can be over with. If I were you, I wouldn't confront her, gather all evidence, then get ready to make copies of the evidence and submit them to all her family members because they should know the truth about who she really is. Also, there is nothing wrong at all with snooping, especially if your partner has given you every reason to be doing it in the first place. You shouldn't be apologizing for wanting to make sure your spouse isn't cheating on. You also take it as a sign from the universe that out of all ways to find out your wife is cheating, your own dog happened to be the one to show you. You know what you need to do from here. Best of luck to you. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. If there's a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact